Linda Blake, a 60-year-old waitress, had spent nearly 4 decades working at Hope's Corner Diner, a small, bustling eatery tucked away in the heart of the city. The diner wasn't just her workplace, it was her sanctuary, a place where she had poured her heart and soul for as long as she could remember. Every creaky floorboard, every booth stained with decades of coffee spills, held memories. She had seen couples fall in love, friends reunite, and strangers become regulars. Over the years, Linda had become more than a waitress. She was a confidant, a listener, and a friendly face in a world that often felt cold. Her hands told the story of her years of service card, calloused, but steady. They had carried countless trays piled high with burgers, pancakes, and coffee mugs. Despite the physical toll, she never complained. Her warm smile and kind demeanor had made her a favorite among customers, and her co-workers often referred to her as the heart of the diner. It was on a particularly cold and blustery Tuesday morning that everything changed. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows of the diner as customers huddled over steaming cups of coffee. Linda had just finished serving a table of regulars when the door swung open, letting in a gust of icy air and a man who seemed to carry the chill with him. He was scruffy, his clothes threadbare and mismatched. His heavy coat looked like it had seen better days decades ago, and his boots were caked with mud. A duffel bag hung from his shoulder, and his face was etched with exhaustion. Heads turned as he walked in, and the usual hum of conversation quieted. Whispers spread like wildfire among the diners. "What's he doing here?" someone muttered. Another shook their head, muttering about the riffraff. Linda, however, saw something different. She didn't see a man to be judged or feared she saw someone in need. Without hesitation, she approached him with her usual warmth. "Coffee's fresh," she said, motioning toward the counter. "Come on, warm yourself up." The man hesitated, his eyes darting around the room as though expecting someone to tell him to leave. When no one did, he shuffled to the counter and sat down, his movements slow and deliberate. Linda poured him a steaming cup of coffee and placed it in front of him. Before he could say anything, she added a plate of buttered toast. "On the house," she said, her smile unwavering. His hands trembled slightly as he wrapped them around the mug. He looked up at her, his eyes glassy. "Why are you doing this?" he asked, his voice rough but soft. Linda leaned on the counter, meeting his gaze. "Because everyone deserves kindness," she replied. "Besides, coffee's meant to be shared, not wasted." Before the man could respond, the door to the kitchen burst open, and Greg Peterson, the owner of the diner, stormed out. Greg was a large man with a booming voice and a perpetual scowl. His face was flushed with anger as he marched toward Linda. "Linda, what the hell do you think you're doing?" he barked, pointing a thick finger at the plate of toast. "Giving away food for free?" Linda straightened up, startled by his sudden outburst. "Greg, he looked like he needed it. It's just some coffee and toast." "We're running a business here, not a charity," Greg snapped, his voice echoing through the diner. "Do you think this place pays for itself? That's coming out of your paycheck. In fact," he jabbed a finger in her direction, his tone turning icy. "Don't bother coming in tomorrow. You're fired." The words hit Linda like a punch to the gut. Fired? After 40 years of loyal service? She looked at Greg, then at the man sitting at the counter who appeared frozen in guilt. For a moment, she considered pleading her case, but something stopped her. Instead, she slowly untied her apron, her hands steady despite the lump in her throat. "Understood," she said quietly, placing the apron on the counter. The walk home felt longer than usual. The biting wind seemed to mock her, cutting through her coat as tears threatened to spill. How would she pay her rent? What would she do now? But amidst her worries, one thought kept her going. She didn't regret helping that man. Kindness, she believed, wasn't about convenience. It was about doing the right thing, even when it cost you. The next morning, Linda woke up to silence. For the first time in 40 years, she had no reason to set an alarm, no customers to greet, no orders to take. She sat by the window, nursing a cup of tea, wondering what her future would hold. Then, a knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. When she opened it, her breath caught in her throat. Standing there was the scruffy man from the diner, but he was almost unrecognizable. He was clean-shaven, his hair neatly combed, and he wore a tailored suit that looked like it cost more than her monthly rent. "Good morning, Linda," he said with a warm smile. "May I come in?" Linda stepped aside, stunned. "What's going on? Who are you?" The man chuckled as he set a briefcase on her small kitchen table. "My name is David Harper. I'm a philanthropist. Yesterday, I was at the diner conducting an experiment, trying to see if people still valued kindness, and you, Linda, passed with flying colors." Linda's jaw dropped. "You're not homeless?" David shook his head. "No, but I've been there. Years ago, I lost everything. I slept in shelters and relied on the kindness of strangers to survive. Now that I'm back on my feet, I make it my mission to find and reward people who show the kind of compassion I once needed. You reminded me of the good in the world." Her hands trembled as David handed her an envelope. "This is for you," he said. Linda opened it, her eyes widening as she saw the check inside. It was enough to pay off her bills and live comfortably for years. "I'd also like to offer you a job," David continued. "I'm starting a foundation to help people who've fallen on hard times. Your kindness and heart are exactly what we need. What do you say?" Tears streamed down Linda's face as she clutched the envelope. "Why me?" she whispered. David smiled. "Because the world needs more people like you, Linda. Kindness is priceless, and you've shown how one small act can change everything." From that day forward, Linda's life transformed. With David's support, she co-founded Bright Horizons Foundation, a nonprofit that provided meals, shelter, and hope to those in need. The diner became a distant memory, but Linda's warmth and selflessness rippled out, touching countless lives. Every morning, Linda woke up with a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that her simple act of kindness had set off a chain reaction of good in the world. Thank you for watching this journey with us. At Behind Closed Doors, we bring you stories that matter, stories of resilience, justice, and the truth hidden in plain sight. If this moved you, inspired you, or opened your eyes, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Join us as we continue to uncover the untold, stand up for justice, and bring light to the shadows. Hit that subscribe button and be a part of this movement. Together, we can make a difference.